Mr. Guerin says we're online. Looks like we have all our council members. I will call this meeting to order. Thank you all very much for being here this evening. Just as an announcement before we get going, though, just so everyone's aware, you will see some people wearing masks on the video tonight. You will see some people not wearing masks. I myself will not be wearing one, so the mic can pick me up and so that people can hear me speak. Otherwise, staff members, council members, we're spaced out pretty well in here, so they may or may not take their masks off to speak to make sure that we can have the correct mic ability. But if you see that this evening, that is why we're doing it that way. So, without further ado, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Short, do we have anyone sign up for public comments this evening? All right, no public comments this evening. That brings us to item 3, the minutes from July 13th. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, it's unanimous. Tonight, there's one change to the agenda. Deetra from the chamber reached out to me and asked me to put something on the agenda regarding the, it's Clemens Community Day, but it's going to be in September. It's going to be an alternate event. I don't know that much about it, but she asked me to bring up something with council for this evening. So if we could, I think it would probably fit under B6, under the manager's report, if that's all right with you, Mr. Buffkin. Are there any other changes or additions for the agenda this evening? And if not, a motion to approve as amended.
Motion to approve as amended.
Second by Mr. Wrights. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. I have no announcements, official announcements anyway, but I will go ahead and thank our new officer for being here this evening, Officer Summers. And if you see him out and about, give him a warm welcome. I mean, I tend to think we have about the best assignment you can have at the Sheriff's Department. But that's, and Lord help you if you got to go above 421. That's all I got to say. Be careful if you even get close to 421. I'm just saying, look out. That's all. I'm not going to say why, but I'm just saying. It's well known around here. Okay. Anyway, we're happy to have you. All right, well, if we have no other announcements, I don't see anything, I don't see any staff saying anything, then that brings us to item 6. And who's the substitute for Ms. Ford this evening?
I am.
All right.
She just wanted me to report that we have a crafter each week at the farmer's market now.
A crafter, so someone doing crafts. In other words, I could take my kids there to do crafts and they won't do it all over my kitchen table.
No, somebody who makes things
Oh,
for
somebody
sale.
who makes them. Okay. All right. Well, good. Thank you very much. And the farmer's market's still what? Every weekend, correct? Every Saturday, 8:30 to 11:30. Okay. That brings us to, and that's it for Ms. Ford. All right. Mr. Buffkin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Of course, as always, we have the financial report for the month of June 2020 in your packet. Just as an additional item, I think you all saw from Ms. Stroud last week or the week prior, we did receive the July sales tax report, which is 3 months delayed from actual receipts, and it was down substantially. So that's something we're going to continue to monitor. But if there are any other questions or concerns about the financials, we're certainly willing and able, or hopefully able to answer. We are preparing for the auditors to be incoming within the next couple of weeks.
How did that amount compare to last year's, April?
It was down just a bit over 25%, so a fairly substantial drop. Any other questions? If not, I will continue. The Sheriff's Office report for same month is included, and I will try to answer any questions, but we obviously have more capable folks, I feel sure, present, so And I want to add in my welcome to Deputy Summers, and hope you enjoy being here with us. Thank you. Anything you gentlemen would like to add? Okay, we will continue rolling on. The disposition of records per the retention schedule, if you all may remember, periodically we have updated that. It's something that the state, oh gosh, what is the name of the office? But anyway, the records folks, as long as we follow their recommended schedule, we can dispose of certain items, mainly past payroll records and items payable, those types of things can be disposed of after a certain number of years, and that list was included in your agenda packet. If there are any questions of those, be happy to try to answer those also.
Are we up to date on open and closed session minutes?
I believe so. There may be some very,
Also, but-
if so, they're very recent. Ms. Short, do you have any?
I don't think that there's anything that's,
Because there were a whole bunch of them, and I know we opened.
yeah,
them. I
those
just
were
wanted to make sure
open,
we're up
and
to
now
date.
we've got just personnel, which remains sealed.
Okay.
Any other questions on that item? If not, I will continue on. The Citizen Board remote participation policies. As you know, we have, for the most part, continued to carry on other than the zoning board. Nasser may have something, and Elliot may have something to speak to that one, at least the Board of Adjustments anyway, since that is a quasi-judicial and requires swearing of witnesses, et cetera. There may be just some procedural reasons we will want to have those in person, but I don't see any reason based on the spacing of this room that couldn't be done in person. As far as I'm aware, there's no reason that the policy that we put in place for those boards could not be identical, if not then substantially similar to what we have in place for council. So I just wanted to put this on you guys' plate at this point for consideration at a following meeting. Any questions or comments or any discussion on that, I would certainly welcome.
Does any board meet before we meet again?
I don't believe so. Nasser, any of your folks meet again before then?
No, we're good.
No, sir.
And know when stormwater was rescheduled.
I think he tentatively put it out for a month past the last one. I don't remember the exact date, but he was
Okay.
doing about a 4-week.
Yeah, it was following our meeting 2 weeks from now. I'm sure.
Thank you.
Any issues, any other suggestions, we would certainly welcome
I
between.
think for consistency and simplicity, why not have them all have the same one as we have?
Otherwise, just administratively, it's going to be a burden
Really?
to keep up with who's got what policy. So we'll continue to follow up on that.
Just a quick interruption. So for me, I already have guidelines in place for planning board and for zoning board of adjustment. I see no reason why this can't coincide with the guidelines, because those are just guidelines and they get a little bit more specific onto their topic matter. So I think they're perfectly fine, but I will continue to use the guidelines too, in addition to this as being formal policy.
Okay, item number 5, coronavirus relief fund plan. I forwarded you guys some information last week, and I apologize for the overload because I know it was a lot to digest in a fairly short period of time. As I showed, we have a fairly, I won't say substantial, but it's certainly not unsubstantial amount of funds that can be used for anything that we can really deem to be related to the coronavirus and what we've done to respond to that, or what we will do. We have to adopt a plan, and as I have been instructed or at least learned, is that that can be somewhat vague as far as your facility upgrades, that sort of thing. So I would ask you guys to read through that, especially the frequently asked questions document, because there are quite a number of different categories of type of activities or capital assets that can be acquired through those funds. Wanted to put this on the agenda tonight so that we can get it adopted sometime during August, because there is a fairly short time frame, I believe September 1, that we have to have the plan adopted and sent through the county system, and then the funds need to be expended by the end of the calendar year. So this is going to have to move pretty quickly. But as you may have seen through the documents, we have something just to the north of $220,000. So again, not an unsubstantial number of amount of money. So just something to put on you guys' radar at this point. And the sixth item was, I'm sorry, Mayor?
The sixth item, it has to do with Clemens Community Day.
Yeah, yes, Deetra did reach out to me about the possibility of putting up some pole banners, and I'm assuming that what she's talking about is like the ones we have put up back during the holidays, that sort of thing. I don't know any details at this point. I haven't spoken with her, but something to promote Community Day, and I guess what she's looking for at this point is just our okay to use our pole banner mounts.
Well, I have a couple more things to add to that. I talked to her today.
Please, you obviously know more than I do.
That's a rarity, but it might be true. So, so here's a couple of things about Clemens Community Day, and this is in an email that I'll forward to you guys, to council. So there's not going to be a vendor-style event with all the games, activities, food trucks, and all that stuff. That's not going to happen. It's scheduled for Saturday, September 19th, and they are planning on doing fireworks, and that will be at the Jerry Long YMCA. She's already reached out to someone who's given her a quote on that, and I'll go more into that in a minute. But the agenda on Saturday, September 19th would be spectators arrive at 7:30, 8 o'clock there will be live streamed entertainment, and then on an FM channel, and then the fireworks show would begin. And really there's going to be a lot of logistics having to do with how to make sure people can park their cars, because it'll be a car event. This won't be something with a large crowd. But yeah, just make sure distancing the cars, and guiding the traffic and things like that. I'm not sure how big of an event it'll be, but those would be things that they're going to be working on.
John?
Yeah.
Are you talking about drive-in movie type thing, or are you talking about
Right.
people getting out of their cars and sitting on the lawn?
I'm not sure I have that. I'm not sure I have that detail.
Okay.
Let me keep going. It might be in here, but I think
Okay, that's all right.
ideally,
We got a ways to go.
unless you have a sunroof, my guess would be a lot of people would probably get out of the car and at least stay next to their car.
No, I didn't know if it was going to be like the outdoor movies they used to have, or it's going to be an in-car event where you don't get out of your car.
For the fireworks, I think you'll probably want to get out of your car. The fireworks is
What
the
I
big.
mean is, we're not going to be sitting on the lawn.
I don't think so.
Okay.
No.
That's
Right. So they want to do a highlight and a preview leading up to it, and that's the pole banner thing that Scott was talking about. And there's some more details on that that'll be in that email. The biggest reason that I wanted to put on the agenda this evening is because Deetra asked me if council be willing to, fund any part of this event, and so that's really the biggest reason, is to put that out there for your consideration, put it on your radar. I think the fireworks cost, she said, it's going to be about $10,000 or so, and so I think in the past, I think previous councils have negotiated, this is the kind of sponsorship we want, if we're going to help fund it, this is kind of exposure.
So previous to Shannon, there was a sponsorship. Once
Right.
Shannon came, and Shannon's events aren't coming, Shannon's in charge of getting her own sponsors, so that we're not spending money on events and things like that. So essentially, us turning around and being a sponsor of something else when we're going to other folks for them to sponsor us gets a little tricky for Shannon. And so if this was an event that we wanted to do, that she wanted to do, I think she would do it probably herself.
Maybe. Listen, I'm just saying that
I heard.
she approached me about, to at least ask you guys whether there's willingness to do it. And I think what I would suggest from this point is either you or maybe someone else on council, if you want to do a little ad hoc subcommittee and reach back out to Deidre and try to see if that's feasible or not, then maybe that would work. But I am just a messenger.
Yeah.
I am
Well,
just
in
a
the
messenger.
last conversation we had, Shannon and I think you were at it with Deetra, before Clemens Community Day, and she'd asked about it, and we talked about that, and we talked about the possibility of an in-kind partnership for the services that the village already provides at no cost, that had never been provided before. She was shocked and said, of course, and placed a value to it. And Shannon had at that lunch explained to her the difficulty with asking for sponsorships and then being a sponsor. So I'd rather, I think we should definitely have the conversation when Shannon's able to participate more fully.
That is fine.
And if this is advertised, we may have a lot of folks that show up as far as fireworks
Yeah.
displays. So Publix and the surrounding areas may see an influx in the parking lots, which these fellows in the back of the room probably will be responsible for handling when it comes down to it. So, just an.
Yeah, we'll be doing a lot of
just-
expenses on it regardless.
Yeah.
They'll need our staff to help with, things, probably moving stuff around like they always have. They'll obviously need the police force available, so I almost feel as though we're already a partner in it in a whole way without putting out additional dollars.
Without any, yes,
Yeah,
without providing funds directly to the chamber.
yeah.
And that's all fine, and just to be clear, Deidre, she's just asking, and I didn't get the feeling from her that there was necessarily, she wasn't saying that we were obligated to or anything like that. I think they just wanted as much help as they could possibly get, so.
I think what we're hearing is that we would be in favor of doing what we've done in the past, which is in-kind service, whatever is needed.
I think Sergeant Geiger should be involved with Deidre also, so that our folks know our law enforcement folks know what's gonna happen, and they don't get surprised.
Look how excited they are about it.
They're all clearly smiling under their mask.
Yeah, boy.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, that's it for that.
If they do purchase pole banners that will mount to our existing mounts, are you guys okay with us utilizing village staff to put those up in an appropriate time period?
Mike, how big of an undertaking is that?
Hey,
Mike, I'm not hearing you at all.
Mary, turn it up.
Huh? What?
It depends on how many they're gonna put out. If they use every spot available that we do the American flags, it's gonna take us about a day to put them out.
This is during our grass pickup season, takes on more staff as opposed to Christmas, where we put up the light or the snowflakes, which probably isn't quite as busy. I guess, I think the good question next would be just how many was she thinking? Maybe she doesn't even know how many options she has, because she might have a cost that she's looking to stay within. But I would be comfortable with that as long as it made sense for Mike and his staff.
In the email here, I just sent you this email so you guys can have this information,
you.
in text form, but she's saying pole banners along Louisville Clemens Road and possibly the roads in the Y. So a minimum of 24 banners, she says.
a good part of a day, but certainly something we could accomplish.
I'm comfortable with that.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. That's in kind, as we were talking before. Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mayor, I think that's all I have for you, unless there are any other questions of council. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. That brings us to item 6C, Mr. Fuss.
Thank you. The major things to report upon legal-wise are, one, that we have a development in the billboard litigation, and secondly, we also received a letter from a company that is challenging our peddling ordinance, which prohibits basically going door to door for unsolicited sales. Both of those matters are items that I think are best discussed during a closed session to preserve attorney-client privilege. So if it's okay with council, I'd like to discuss those later on in the agenda. Nothing further to report.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. That brings us to item 6D. Yes.
Just
Mr.
want to touch
Mendoza.
base on 5 items that will go in front of Planning Board this next month, to give you guys a heads up. 3 items are Planning Board review, so they don't need to get formal approval from council. 2 of those will regard the Piedmont Natural Gas expansions. The third one will involve the Clemens Elementary School, as they want to place a modular. And then 2 additional items is a site plan amendment for an addition for Animal Ark, and then the 5th is for a proposed rezoning, and that will actually come to you guys theoretically in October. Any questions? That's all the report.
Much. All right. If there is no questions for staff on anything else, on items 6A through D, unless council has some questions on that kind of stuff, then that brings us to item 6E. Is there a motion for a closed session?
Motion to go into closed session under attorney-client privilege in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3 to discuss personnel matters in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A6.
Ms. Cameron, would you mind specifying that the closed session for attorney-client privilege relates to visible properties versus Village of Clemens?
What he said.
Okay. Do you have that, Ms. Short? Okay. Is there a second for that motion?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Hold on. Mr. Guerin has to get us on camera and then.
Oh. Huh? Oh.
All right. We are back from closed session. No action was taken during closed session. Now that we're out of closed session, are there any council comments? And if there are none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. We're adjourned.
Dinner.
And it's still daylight.